officially hand over the keys to these tactical vehicles, remembering that we are in a world of predation. To achieve peace, one must go to war, so fight the war. The army today is stronger, and it continues to grow in power. It has nothing to envy or compare to the army of the past, not only in terms of territorial coverage, but also in terms of personnel. In April 2024, another batch of military equipment was handed over to the Chief of Staff of the Armed Forces for use. This included various vehicles such as ambulances, military trucks, armored vehicles, and more. In June 2024, another significant batch of military and engineering equipment was acquired for the forces involved in the war on terrorism. This included combat vehicles resistant to improvised explosive devices, weapons, ammunition, and engineering machinery.
Hey guys, as you're watching this video, our vision is to reach 500,000 subscribers. Hit the subscribe button, join membership to support our channel, join Patreon and PayPal. All the links are in the description. Do that to stand with us for this beautiful cause of One Africa right now. We do not forget to sign up for the petition. The link is down below. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. This is the journey to One Africa.
The Burkinabe society was weakened by deep political contradictions, which had negative impacts on the personnel of the National Armed Forces. As a component of the people, the army was unprepared, lacking the logistical capabilities to face terrorist incursions. The few aircraft that were available were mainly used for communication and emergency medical evacuation. We barely had the equipment to guard posts in various parts of the country, and we had run out of ammunition. Many units' personnel were not individually equipped, and some barely knew how to use the weapons in the infantry units. Worse still, we didn't have enough ammunition to support these men. The National Armed Forces of Burkina Faso, long under-equipped, poorly structured, and lacking motivation, found themselves naturally ineffective in the face of terrorist groups that, in 2015, carried out the first terrorist attacks in our country. In this new kind of war, many civilians lost their lives, and the National Armed Forces paid a heavy price with many casualties on the battlefield for the nation. This unacceptable situation led to a revolt by young officers, led by Captain Ibrahim Traoré, who was committed to giving the Burkinabe army all the necessary means to face the terrorist threat and go on the offensive to liberate the country. The president, as the supreme commander of the National Armed Forces, initiated a new dynamic in reorganizing and strengthening the operational capabilities of the combat forces. The most important reforms included reviewing the territorial coverage. We had a defense organization focused on 3 military regions, which was deemed insufficient. So quickly, a reform was carried out, increasing the number of military regions from 3 to 6. Along with new gendarmerie regions and new air bases, among other changes. We also created and operationalized the Special Rapid Intervention Brigade, which was founded based on the Cobra units. In less than 2 years, we increased the number of rapid intervention battalions to 25, along with other components, making the brigade highly operational and a spearhead of the current offensive against terrorist armed groups. Following this, a strategic equipment plan for the National Armed Forces was adopted by the government. This strategic plan, a product of the President's will, paved the way for an unprecedented strengthening of the National Armed Forces' operational capacities, particularly in terms of human resources, logistics, tactics, and combat techniques. None of the Army's entities remained behind in terms of recruitment. This reorganization was accompanied by a vast recruitment and training program, which increased the workforce within our entities and intensified operations. In terms of equipment, the Army received significant allocations of major equipment, high-tech materials, weapon systems, and modern communication systems that are effective and adapted to the current threat. The diversification of strategic partnerships with countries like Russia, Turkey, and China accelerated the acquisition of important equipment for the armed forces. Shortly after taking power, Captain Ibrahim Traoré demonstrated his firm will to address the Army's equipment deficiencies. By December 2022, just 3 months after assuming office, the army saw its capabilities strengthened with the acquisition of armored vehicles, and this momentum continued with the delivery of important military equipment, including combat arms and ammunition, to the Ministry of Defense in January 2024. I officially hand over the keys to these tactical vehicles, remembering that we are in a world of predation. To achieve peace, one must go to war, so fight the war. The army today is stronger, and it continues to grow in power. It has nothing to envy or compare to the army of the past, not only in terms of territorial coverage, but also in terms of personnel. In April 2024, another batch of military equipment was handed over to the Chief of Staff of the Armed Forces for use. This included various vehicles such as ambulances, military trucks, armored vehicles, and more. In June 2024, another significant batch of military and engineering equipment was acquired for the forces involved in the war on terrorism. This included combat vehicles resistant to improvised explosive devices, weapons, ammunition, and engineering machinery, including excavators, trucks, and fuel tankers. These acquisitions are part of the 2024 Strategic Equipment Plan. Make good use of them and start the long-awaited development of the war. If something is missing, come back to me, and I will reach out to the people for what is needed. Many elders will say that what has been achieved is unprecedented in this army. I am from logistics, and I know what this means. It's unheard of in this army. The Air Force, long grounded, is now soaring under the leadership of the Supreme Commander of the National Armed Forces, Captain Ibrahim Traoré. Mastery and control of the skies are crucial variables for victory against terrorism and for building a strong and resilient army. The acquisition of helicopters for troop transport and humanitarian actions, reconnaissance aircraft, combat helicopters, and attack drones in March 2023 fits into this vision of the President. A significant batch of aerial equipment, including a dozen drones, mostly composed of Bayraktar TB2 and Bayraktar Akıncı drones, was also acquired, expanding the fleet. This now allows rapid deployment and continuous surveillance of the national territory. Since the President's accession to power, the Air Force has been a key part of the force's equipment plan. We have received combat aircraft, reconnaissance planes, maneuver equipment, and almost all types of combat vectors that enable us to meet the population's needs and fight terrorism. To implement these resources, 2 new air bases were established, providing more flexibility on the ground and allowing us to be closer to operational zones. This also enables us to better respond to the needs of an air force in action. For this to happen, we had to reinforce our personnel, which was also addressed by recruitment. Previously, the Air Force personnel were trained abroad, which limited our capacity. With the President's leadership, we now have the ability to train personnel on-site through the creation of Air Force training schools. Some of these schools are already operational, and others are in the process of being established, giving us real capacity to train soldiers with the skills we need locally. The acquisition of equipment has also significantly strengthened the units of the National Gendarmerie and Police. Today, these internal security forces have the necessary means to play their full role in defending and securing the national territory. Between October 2022 and October 2024, the Gendarmerie benefited from ordinary and special recruitment, adding 3,000 new recruits, significantly increasing its numbers. In terms of logistics, we also received more than 200 vehicles across all categories. And for maintenance, we were allocated 1.5 billion CFA francs for spare parts. Before, the vehicles we had required pushing to start. Today, when you see a gendarmerie vehicle, it is truly a remarkable asset. These acquisitions allow the gendarmerie to work effectively. In terms of infrastructure, we received about 11 billion CFA francs for the construction and rehabilitation of existing facilities, many of which were dilapidated. Most gendarmerie stations were previously outdoors, with only trees marking the boundaries of their premises. Today, we thank the authorities for prioritizing this, as all gendarmerie stations have now been enclosed. At the President's call, every police officer answered the call of duty. The entire institution responded to the nation's call and worked together, with all other defense and security components in engaging across all operational theaters. The results speak for themselves. Dozens of intervention units and groups were created to contribute to the fight against terrorism, and all these units are deployed throughout the country alongside the other defense forces and volunteers for the defense of the homeland. There was also a rebuilding of the National Police Intervention Unit, which was transformed into a group, and the creation of the National Police Operations Center. Regarding recruitment, since the arrival of Captain Ibrahim Traoré, over 4,100 police officers have been recruited, a record number. Numerous infrastructure projects have been carried out, and others rehabilitated since Captain Ibrahim Traoré's arrival. In terms of training, we have seen a massive strengthening of police skills through intensive and specialized training programs. At one point, there were disagreements concerning certain aspects of the police force, but with the arrival of Captain Ibrahim Traoré, all of this was resolved. We have witnessed a stronger, more cohesive police force, working together with all other defense and security components, and now, when you are on the ground, you can't tell the difference between the different components. They work as one unit, with a true brotherhood of arms. After 2 years, all that the police have acquired in logistics and resources for the fight against terrorism is impressive. There had been conflicts regarding the arming of the police, with many thinking that the police did not deserve certain weapons. In the past, police officers were deployed without the means to properly defend themselves or protect the population. It was only with the arrival of Captain Ibrahim Traoré that all these restrictions were lifted, and today the National Police possess almost all types of arms. There has been the acquisition of individual and collective weapons, as well as new protection equipment, including drones, explosive detection devices, and new communication systems. This allows the units on the ground to be fully operational. The National Police also received armored vehicles, semi-armored vehicles, transport vehicles, motorcycles, and numerous other assets. This is truly a revolution. The National Fire Brigade, BNSP, has also been strengthened and organized to contribute to the reconquest of the territory. The combat units of the Fire Brigade have swapped their traditional uniforms for military ones to join the other army, corps in fighting terrorism, embodying their motto, "Save or perish for the nation." Since the crisis began, the National Fire Brigade's units have contributed to restoring peace and reclaiming certain areas of the country. These are the benefits that the National Armed Forces in general and all personnel engaged in the theater of operations, whether in fully constituted units or within other combatant structures, enjoy. It must be clearly acknowledged that there has been significant progress in terms of operational capacity, but also in terms of human resources. There has been a significant increase in the number of personnel within the brigade to face both the defense of national territory as part of the reconquest and to deal with public service duties, such as rescue and firefighting. Since 2023-2024, we have benefited from the creation of specific units within the brigade. We have also seen the establishment and operationalization of firefighting and rescue companies in cities, especially in administrative regional capitals that previously lacked fire stations. These are major efforts aimed at bringing emergency services closer to the population. This is followed by an adaptation of the system, which includes the creation of firefighting groups and companies. The authorities have worked to ensure a network that allows firefighters to be available for the population. The means acquired, thanks to the various contributions from citizens, have been used to strengthen the military. In 2 years, more than $1 billion, or more than 600 billion CFA francs, were mobilized to acquire military equipment. According to the Ministry of Economy and Finance, the National Armed Forces have never been as well equipped as in these past 2 years. We now possess state-of-the-art equipment, including strategic drones, combat helicopters, transport vehicles, armored troop transport vehicles, assault tanks, and military engineering vehicles, as well as equipment for military mobility. When soldiers are well equipped, it boosts their morale and makes them bolder in offensive actions. Beyond the acquisition of equipment, the head of state initiated a comprehensive restructuring program for the National Armed Forces. The first challenge of this restructuring was to reinforce the human resources within the different units of the army. An unprecedented recruitment campaign was launched across all branches of the armed forces. In the past, recruitment numbers were minimal, with a total of only 1,000 soldiers recruited in 1 year, and sometimes even fewer due to retirements. However, this recruitment plan was increased significantly, with 10,000 soldiers recruited in 1 year. We are currently working on training this personnel and ensuring they are well prepared for any operational challenges they might face. Reinforcing human resources and equipment are critical factors, and these improvements have boosted the morale of our soldiers. Thanks to these efforts, we have been able to launch the reconquest of the territory, freeing certain areas of the country and allowing displaced persons to return to their homes, cultivate their lands, and even produce crops. More than 1,000 schools, previously closed, have been reopened. All these victories and the reconquest of the territory are due to the efforts made by the Burkinabe people, who agreed to invest and contribute to the war effort, enabling the acquisition of equipment and the recruitment of volunteers for defense. More than 90,000 volunteers have joined the ranks to defend the homeland, alongside the forces of defense and security. The conditions for volunteers have improved since January 2024, with operational bonuses increasing from 60,000 to 80,000 francs, which, although insufficient, have helped maintain morale. No volunteer goes into operations without their weapon and the necessary equipment for effectively fighting terrorism. Another important decision made by Captain Ibrahim Traoré was the revival of the National Commando Training Center located in the Naouri province. This center is responsible for training military and paramilitary personnel in commando technique, including security forces like penitentiary guards, forest officers, and customs agents. This training aims to ensure interoperability between the different forces and resources. The center ensures that all personnel involved in joint operations with the National Army are properly prepared. Special units have also been created within the penitentiary and forestry departments to contribute to the reconquest of the territory, alongside other combat units. In response to the President's call, the Penitentiary Administration has created combatant units and has undertaken actions to prepare them for operational readiness. Specific equipment has been provided, with the support of the General Staff, and entire zones have been dedicated to securing these units. Additionally, the internal security forces and the military have worked together harmoniously, with no barriers between the different branches, fostering an atmosphere of perfect collaboration. The leadership of Captain Ibrahim Traoré has played a significant role in this cohesion. Under the leadership of President Ibrahim Traoré, there has been a profound transformation of the national armed forces, marked by an increase in personnel, logistical capabilities, and weaponry, as well as a restructuring and redeployment of units to cover the national territory more effectively. The National Army is now equipped with combat aircraft and other aerial vehicles that enable missions of surveillance, guidance, and troop support, significantly enhancing combat effectiveness. In just 2 years, the Burkinabe Army has made significant progress in terms of organization and operational capacity. The determination of President Ibrahim Traoré, supported by the people, has enabled the army to operate with greater autonomy and mobility, advancing in the total reconquest of the country. The creation of special units, such as the Parachute Commandos of the Republican Guard and the Rapid Intervention Brigade, reflects the President's vision of a strong army serving the nation. Furthermore, the creation of mobile intervention units within the National Police and the reinforcement of the Rapid Action Group of the National Gendarmerie demonstrate the President's commitment to a robust defense force for the country's territorial security. The army is now equipped to handle the mission of defending the homeland, with improved equipment and a clearer strategy. The National Defense Forces are prepared for a future marked by prestige and glory, with a much stronger and more capable army that will continue to recruit and develop its capacity. Only with a strong army can a nation truly safeguard its independence and sovereignty.